We recently went to this awesome trail and I wanted to get in. It was actually 2 videos ago. The last video was a response to some early stuff in the video before that. But at the end of that video, from 2 videos ago, we took a look at the entrance to this trail. And I've been here ages ago, but this time there was no access to it. So today's video is regarding a tale of an EUC trail. A tall one. Now, is it the tale that's tall, or is it the trail? And that's going to be for you to figure out. This is a really awesome place that I went to ages ago, but now it's all locked, see? And one thing I found strange was that there's a padlock and a chain, which weren't on the actual door, but it was still locked. And I noticed on the sign here, it says, you got to get the key from the kiosk. So I went and found this kiosk and it was locked, and it said on a sign, to gain access to the kiosk you got to get the key from another kiosk. So I went and found that kiosk, and I think I had the right one, and it was this dingy looking thing that looked abandoned, but it also had a sign saying, to gain entry to this kiosk, you've got to get the key from another kiosk. So I thought at this point, I'm like 2 kiosks into this thing, I might as well just keep going. I found the next kiosk, and there was a guy there, but it was also locked. The guy was inside. And I said, well, can I get the key for this other kiosk? I'm still like 4 kiosks away from getting to this trail. He said he can't give me the key, but he can teach me on how to teach a man to teach men on how to make keys for kiosks. And so I thought, I gotta do it. I'm this far in, costed $50 for the lesson. I finished, passed the test, and I was on my way. And I thought, great, I'm gonna finally get this 4th kiosk open. And then it hit me, and I realized, wait a minute, I didn't learn how to make a key for a kiosk at all. I learned how to teach a man on how to teach men to make keys for kiosks. So I felt stumped. I thought, what am I going to do now? And I figured, look, I'm in the middle of nowhere basically. So far out from the city, it's such a long drive home. I may as well just do it. Find some local, teach him what I learned. And then hopefully I'm going to have a key for a kiosk at the end of the day. I found a guy. He looked like a good, suitable candidate for the mission. And so I taught him everything I knew, everything I just learned. And he was a great student. So then I said, all right, cool. So now we're this much closer to getting these keys. So I said, all right, go teach men how to make keys for kiosks, and we'll be done. That'll be the end. And he didn't want to. He said he can't be bothered. He said the whole thing was stupid. And I said, come on, dude. We're this far in. Do you know how far I've come? Everything I taught you. You're like a son to me. He still didn't want to, so I said, all right, look, I'll give you $50. And he agreed. So now I'm $100 into this. I figured it would still be worth it because it's a nice place and I'll never come back here for a while at least. And so he went and taught men how to make keys for kiosks. Class of 50. 50 locals from the country. And so lo and behold, he got the job done. They all learned how to make keys for kiosks. And so I thought, well, this is brilliant. We don't just have one guy that can make keys for kiosks. We got fucking 50. And I figured, well, I got 4 kiosks to open, don't I? So I got 50 guys here. So between all of them, they should be able to make all the keys I need. I only need 4 keys. Turned out they couldn't make keys for shit. Between all of them, they could barely make the key for the last kiosk. So I was barely scraping in here. My hopes were down. They made this key and they handed it to me. And I'm looking at this key and it looks like a piece of junk. Piece of scrap metal. Kind of looks like a key that a 5-year-old might make. And I'm wondering, is this my fault? Because I taught the guy that taught them. 50 dudes to make one key. And they did a shit job. So I'm wondering whose fault this is, because I guess I taught the guy that taught him, but I can't even make this key myself. They made the key. But anyway, I went over to the kiosk, the final kiosk, and I grabbed this piece of scrap metal basically, and I jammed it into the keyhole and started twisting. And it freaking broke the lock. It snapped off, fell on the ground, and an alarm went off. This big loud siren just started blaring. And a voice said, "Wait there, the police are on their way." And I just said, screw that. Got out of there, never came back. But interestingly, 6 months later, the police were able to track down the key to its designer, which was my top student in the class of 50. And they threw him in prison for 3 years. So he never got to graduate. Only thing he learnt was how to sharpen a toothbrush and how to smuggle a sack of crack in a crack. It's called the crack-a-lack, crackety-jack. And then he realized that he actually knows how to make keys. They might be crappy ones, but he managed to manufacture a piece of scrap metal so rugged that he was able to get through the prison bars, and he escaped within 3 months. And when I look back on it, I think that was the true test of his skills. Where he failed at making keys for kiosks, he passed on regaining his freedom. So in the end, I had taught him a very valuable lesson, which kind of felt good, you know, because in a way I was the grand master of this whole thing. And when I saw him actually accomplish something, I felt like I had accomplished something too. But I guess it was this lesson that got him in prison in the first place, wasn't it? Well, there you go.